I moved to northern Montana 6 years ago, desperate for space and silence. I'd spent most of my 20s boxed in by roommates and noise, so when I found a small house sitting alone on a stretch of snow-covered land, I took it without hesitation. The isolation felt comforting. No neighbors close enough to bother me. No reason to explain myself to anyone. For years, nothing happened. Until one winter night in January, a blizzard rolled in faster than forecasted. By the time I left work, the sky was white and the wind howled like something alive. I barely made it up my driveway before my car started sliding. When I reached my front door, my relief vanished. The lock wouldn't turn. It was frozen solid. I tried everything, gloves off, breathing on it, pounding it, but the metal refused to move. I sat in my car with the engine running, watching snow pile higher against the doors. After 20 minutes, I realized I couldn't stay. The road was gone, my gas wouldn't last, and my phone had no signal. The nearest house was far, but it was my only option. By the time I reached it, my legs were numb. The house looked older than the others, crooked porch, sagging roof. I knocked, and the door swung open instantly, as if he'd been waiting. The man introduced himself as Harold. He was thin, gray-haired, and smiling too much. I explained my situation. He stepped aside without hesitation and locked the door behind me. The house was warm, but it smelled wrong, like damp wood and something sour. Harold talked, but his eyes never stopped moving, constantly flicking toward the ceiling. When I asked about the noise above us, he laughed nervously and said, "She doesn't like storms." There was no second floor. I slept on the couch, lights off. I pretended to be asleep when I felt his presence nearby. Then came the footsteps above me. Heavy, slow, dragging. A loud bang shook the ceiling. I sat up, and Harold was standing over me, smiling wider than before. "She's lonely," he whispered. I ran. I don't remember how I escaped, only crashing through the door and into the snow. The next house sheltered me until morning. The neighbors knew Harold. Years ago, his wife vanished. They said she never left the house. 3 days later, when the roads cleared, I returned home. My front door opened easily. On my kitchen table sat a frozen key, dripping meltwater. And above me, something shifted in the ceiling, directly over my bed. This happened 2 winters ago, during a blizzard so bad the county shut down all emergency routes. I was 28 at the time and living alone in a rented farmhouse in western Massachusetts. I worked remotely as a data analyst, which meant days could pass without me speaking to another person. I didn't mind it. Isolation felt safe. The storm had been predicted for days, and unlike most forecasts, this one delivered. By evening, snow slammed sideways into the house, and the wind screamed like it was trying to peel the walls apart. Around 9:45 p.m., I heard a dull thump outside, followed by a slow scraping noise along the side of the house. I assumed it was debris or a fallen branch and tried to ignore it. Then I heard a horn. It was faint at first, barely audible over the wind, but it kept repeating in uneven bursts. I went to the window and saw headlights far down my driveway, barely visible through the whiteout. I felt uneasy, but stayed inside. I wasn't risking going out there. At 10:30, someone knocked. I asked who it was through the door. A man answered, breathy and strained, saying his name was Aaron and his car had stalled. He asked to come inside to warm up. I cracked the door with the chain still on. He was coated in snow from the shoulders up, but his jeans and boots were perfectly dry. No snow, no slush. When I hesitated, his tone changed. He stopped shivering, stopped acting cold. "Please," he said quietly, "you don't want me freezing out here." I shut the door and locked it. That's when he walked away, slowly. I called the police, hands shaking, and while I was on the phone, I heard footsteps circling the house. The dispatcher told me to stay put. Response time would be delayed. The banging started at the back door. Hard, desperate, angry. I grabbed a hammer and locked myself in the bathroom. After several minutes, everything went silent. Then the horn blared again, one long, continuous scream. Police arrived nearly an hour later. They found the car, half buried, engine ice cold. No footprints between the road and my house. None at all. The next morning, I found frost-smeared handprints on the outside of my second-floor bedroom window. I don't live there anymore. Last week, during another storm, my phone lit up with a notification from an unknown number. Still warm in there? This happened 4 years ago, and I've only ever told my partner and my older sister. Even now, writing it makes my hands shake. I'm 35, living in Alberta, and like the original story, this isn't about proving how skilled I was. It's about how certain I am that something impossible helped me survive. I used to guide snowmobile tours in remote mountain ranges near the border. I knew the terrain better than most locals, had avalanche training, emergency gear, and years of experience being alone in whiteout conditions. That's why I didn't panic when the weather shifted that morning. The forecast said light snow. Instead, the sky darkened unnaturally fast, and the wind began screaming through the trees like it was alive. I turned back too late. The slope gave way beneath me with a sound like thunder snapping in half. I was thrown forward, dragged, then slammed hard enough to knock the breath from my lungs. When everything stopped, I was buried to my chest, one leg twisted at an angle that made my vision blur with pain. My machine was gone. My radio was crushed. Snow was falling so fast it erased my tracks within seconds. I started moving anyway. That's when I heard footsteps behind me. Steady, unhurried, far too calm for a storm like that. I turned and saw a man walking toward me through the snow. No goggles, no snowmobile, no visible pack. Just a dark jacket and an expression that didn't quite register as human relief. He took my arm without asking. His grip was cold, not numb cold, but wrong cold, like metal left outside too long. He didn't struggle with my weight. In fact, it felt like I was lighter with him there. We moved together for what felt like hours. I asked his name. He said, "I don't use it anymore." At one point, he leaned close and whispered, almost kindly, "You shouldn't stop." I blinked snow out of my eyes, and he was gone. No footprints, no disturbance. Just me standing upright, unsupported, in the middle of a storm that should have killed me. Somehow I made it back to the trailhead before losing consciousness. Weeks later, while recovering, I found an old forum post about a missing guide who vanished in that exact area years earlier. Same jacket description, same calm demeanor. The post ended with one sentence. Last seen walking downhill during a blizzard. I still go into the mountains, but sometimes, when the wind changes direction, I hear footsteps matching mine perfectly. And I never stop walking.